Are you sitting around wondering why your graphics have tanked so bad since the last patch? I think I have an answer for that. Let's take a look. Hey guys, this is Berd. I've been asked a lot here recently to put together a new graphics setting video on how to adjust your graphics settings in Legion. And I wanted to try to put this together to show everybody some of the changes that have been made by Blizzard for the Legion expansion. Most of these changes came out in the 7.0.3 patch that just came out recently, the Legion pre-patch. And I suspect that there may be some more changes as we go through Legion, but I can't guarantee that. But there are a few things that have been hinted at, so we'll see as we go, and if they do, I'll update this video at that time. But currently, what we've got right now is this is you're looking at right now Ultra 1080p. I mean, when I mean Ultra, when I say Ultra, I mean as Ultra as I can get it anyway. MSAA-X all or MSAA-8X all the way. You know, I like MSAA much better than I do SSAA. You know, these have a far greater impact on your graphics than MSAA does, but it still is pretty impactful. You can see that I've got this bar here turned all the way to 10, and you notice that now we have this graphics quality bar that you can drop down, and as you drop it down you notice that it changes things as it goes down. Now this is really handy, and there's going to be a lot of people that probably will use this, and I'm sure it'll it'll help a few people. But in my opinion, this graphics bar here is not really the best way to go about improving your frames per second. It does help you, I mean, don't get me wrong, and according to Blizzard, this setting goes 3 steps beyond what Ultra used to be in Warlords of Draenor. So they have 3 settings past what Ultra used to be. At 7, that's what Ultra used to be like, except more with all these things, you know, here. But view distance increased as well, so you can take that down to 7. So if you have that at 7 and this at 7, odds are you're going to be really close to what it was like in Warlords of Draenor. The previous video that I had where we made the adjustments to anti-aliasing, the adjustments to these settings here, and the adjustments to these settings here, that video is still available. And if you have this on 7 and your view distance on 7, you could probably still use those settings and still be pretty accurate. But for those of you who haven't seen that video and are looking for an updated, version, here we go. First of all, the main thing you want to do if you're wanting to improve your frames per second, this is going to be one of the big ones. You're going to need to drop this down to 7 and just leave it there. You're going to need to take your view distance down to 7 and leave it there. Now, this is still going to be pretty impactful on your system, I mean, because this is, like I say, this is Ultra at Warlords, just the way it was then, and if it was causing you problems then, odds are it's going to be causing you problems now too. So the second thing that really is huge for your frames per second is anti-aliasing. Everyone knows it. Anti-aliasing is a huge draw on your frames per second, but it's a trade-off for, crisp looking graphics or, high frames per second. You can turn that off. I mean, I'll be honest, it's not that hugely impactful, and it doesn't affect your gameplay whatsoever. So you can turn that off. You can turn shadow quality down to low. You can turn liquid detail down to low. Sun shafts you can disable. Particle density, not a very big impact on your frames per second. I leave it on, I like to have it on high, but you can leave it on low or either way. I mean, it doesn't matter. This basically gives you pretty spell effects and that type of thing, sparks and things like that off of different spells. SSAO is it's a way to affect the lighting. It affects your the different type of lighting effects. I leave this on Ultra, but I mean, like I say, you can disable that entirely. You can disable your depth effects, which I'll be honest with you, you can't really notice them at all in Warcraft. It's not a very well implemented feature. Lighting quality, I leave on high. It doesn't affect anything. You don't have to worry about that. Outline mode, that's more of a preferential thing. If you like having the outline so that you can see things when you click on them and stuff like that, and it gives you a little more obvious, sign that you're on something. You can leave that be. That doesn't affect anything that much. Really, these three right here are your biggest culprits and aliasing. These are going to affect you a lot. Your view distance, and you'll see this as I adjust this slider here. As you take it down, what you notice is in the distance, the fog starts coming closer and closer and closer, and you'll see that it just sort of kind of changes, the distance that you can see things. You see how that works? It just reduces the amount of things that the computer has to, draw into the scene, and your frames per second go up considerably as a result. Now, if you don't mind having that fog on the outskirts of your vision there, I mean, some people may think that it's actually a good feature. Leave it, leave it at 1. No big deal. It's going to save you a ton of frames per second just by doing that one thing. But for the most part, I'll leave this you can leave this at 7, and you'll be just like it was on Ultra Engineer. Now, environmental detail, that's where you start to notice rocks, it's almost different things here. Let me kick this all the way up so that you can see. Now, you'll notice in the distance, certain objects in the environment will not be drawn when you change this. You can adjust it. Notice little things, little environmental details start to disappear. See how these things here? Little things that are no longer drawn in the environment. See these things here? Now this makes another, this is another thing. It's a huge impact on your gameplay. In all honesty, if you need the frames, kick that all the way down to 1 and you're good to go. Ground clutter is grass. It's your grass, things around on the ground right here. This is another thing that, while it looks really pretty, and having, the stuff on the ground, you can drop that. It doesn't affect your gameplay at all. Boom. Boom. And if you notice, it just eliminates a lot of things that have to be drawn in that particular scene. And that's going to improve your frames per second a lot. You're going to gain a ton of frames just by doing this. So you change these 3 things here, adjust them to your, where you want them. These 2 here, they're just aesthetic. They have no real impact on your gameplay whatsoever. Your view distance has very little impact on your gameplay. Now, if you're in a battleground and you have your view distance turned all the way down, you'll notice it because you won't be able to see the enemies, as far out as you can, things like that. So, for battlegrounds and things, it may be a little more important. But any place else generally makes very little difference. Right here, these 3 settings right here, in all honesty, that I don't see any point in adjusting these at all. They have very low impact on your frames per second. Now, if you want to, you can drop these down, you can play with them, but what that does is it changes the quality of your textures on your character and on other people's characters and on your mounts and things like that. And those things can stay. You can leave those up high and have beautiful looking characters and never impact your frames hardly at all. It doesn't do much at all. It's not enough really for you to worry about. Other things are far more impactful than that. So, well, look, I'll give you an idea of just what it's going to look like. But if you change texture resolution down to low and you hit apply, now look at the, oops, get out of here. See the artwork on the mount? It's not crisp. It's kind of, sort of the dull looking. That's what texture resolution is. It lowers the resolution of the artwork on the particular model that you're looking at. Now, when we kick this up, kick that back up to high here. Look at the difference. You see the feathers really clearly stand out. The artwork looks better. the brass and things are more sharply defined. You know, now that you get, granted, that will impact your frames per second, but not as much. And you know, rather than adjust this, which is going to make your game look, you know, your characters and everything look blurry and kind of weird looking, you know, I would much rather, you know, do without, you know, grass and things like that, rather than have my characters look, you know, funky. I want my character to look cool, you know. I like him because he's in front of you all the time. You're looking at him all the time. So, you know, I want that to be, you know, cool looking. And I want my boss monsters to look cool and things like that. So if you leave those texture resolutions alone, you won't have to worry about that. So the same thing here, your filtering, you can leave all this alone. I leave it on 16x. You can leave your projected textures enabled. In fact, I don't recommend anyone turning off projected textures, mainly because spell effects. If you're in a like PvP particularly, being able to see, you know, different things on the ground, like, you know, Paladin, Consecrate, I don't know if they even have that anymore, but those kind of things that are ground effect spells, you know, you want to be able to see those things so you can avoid them, you know. Healing of your own, you know, characters, different healing spells and things that are on the ground, AOE type of things. You want to be able to see that stuff. So what we've got now is basically you can adjust these things down to low to your own preferences. You know, play with them, see how they're going to affect you. But these things here, your anti-aliasing and your environment details, view distance, environmental detail, and ground clutter. Anyway, guys, I hope this was helpful to you. You know, if it was, then, you know, please leave a like on the video or leave a comment. You know, let me know if there's something else you'd be interested in knowing about, or if you have a question. More than happy to answer those for you. Much love, guys. I'll see you in the next vid. Peace.
Some folks has asked me, if you had it to do over again, would you do it the same way? I reckon I would.